Now, let's have the first speakers come up here.
So I have affirmative and opposing sides with me. So I'm just going to shuffle it and you pick. Whichever you pick, that's the side you stand for. Are we together? Are we all together?
Opposing.
So which local government? Abakaliki local government is opposing, while
Affirmative.
Onicha local government is affirming. Okay. Here.
This house believes that former President Buhari banned Twitter in June 2021 in the best interest of Nigerians. Without further ado, let's make welcome first speaker affirmative. Here.
According to Mark Twain, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. As the first speaker of my team, I'll be speaking on the developmental effects. While the second speaker of my team will be rebutting the fallacious statement made by the team opposition, reaffirming our point and making further substantive arguments if time permits. Here is the stand that solidifies our arguments. Since the ex-president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, banned Twitter on June 2021 for the best interest citizens of Nigeria to avoid misleading people through the use of Twitter. Therefore, it is a profound solution to the best interest of the citizen. Here are the point that solidifies my argument. To begin with, misinformation. In Nigeria, many people make use of Twitter to label bad things against people. Yes, a recent case on social media is a girl who go on different social media platforms, telling people that the liquor tomato she used to cook, that it was wrong and want to kill her. I believe that she is still in a waiting trial now. Why? Because she used this platform, she misused it, and she used it to label bad things against people. Furthermore, fake news. Twitter then was also used for fake news. A case where somebody will just sleep and wake up one day, posting a politician picture, labeling back things against these politicians. And the worst part is that they will not even provide a solution. The only thing they do is just to post the picture, take bad things against him, and insult him. Moreover, spoiling of reputation, that is termination of reputation. And this is mostly on the case of leaders. People go ahead using social media, especially Twitter then, posting evil things about politicians without giving accurate information. This has posed a very big threat to the politician. Furthermore, people go on making use of Twitter, labeling all sorts of evil against individuals and against themselves. And since then, this has caused so many problems in Nigeria. Panel of adjudicators. Yes, I've been demonstrating it to this house that President Muhammadu Buhari during June 2021 do not ban Twitter for our own bad, but ban it for our own good, to the best interest of the citizens. Panel of adjudicators. So far, I have discussed that people make use of social media to engage in fight among themselves and among politicians, avoiding, not even providing solution. I've also speak on people, spoiling people's reputation, that they make use of the Twitter to spoil people people's reputations on social media, and also I speak on fake news. A situation where someone will just wake up one day, posting a politician's picture, saying all sorts of bad things against you without even profiling a solution. Panel of educators, with this human substantive argument of I am able to convince you beyond all reasonable doubt that the banning of Twitter was for the best interest of Nigeria. At this juncture, let the motion stand.
Observation, I want to make proper corrections right away. Considering the sitting arrangement, this is proper, but to avoid stressing yourselves, let's have you face each other.
What comes first, chicken or the egg? Good day, Mr. Chairman, esteemed and impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeepers, and my co-debaters and my fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wankwame Somat Perpetua. I am the captain of the opposing team in today's debate, and we are here to debate on the topic, dissolved. This house believes that the Nigerian former president, Buhari, suspended or banned Twitter for the interest of the Nigerians. But before I proceed, permit me to throw more light on this topic. What is Twitter? Twitter is a social media platform launched on July 2006 and was founded by Jack Dorsey, Evan Williams, and two other rest of them. With that said, let's dive into the key point that supports my stand. Firstly, freedom of speech was destabilized. Now, the Nigerian former president of Nigeria made a decision by banning the Twitter. But did you know that the freedom of speech of people? Did you know that the freedom of speech of people were totally destabilized by this banning of Twitter, where people can no longer express their feelings? The fundamental human right was destabilized. Secondly, lack of transparency. Did you know that this banning of the Twitter brought down transparency? Up to today, we do not know the real reason of why the former president of Nigeria banned Twitter and banned Nigerians from using Twitter. But though it was now ratified in the January 13, 2022. Thirdly, censorship. This ban of Twitter was under censorship, where there was dissenting of voice. They were now using this ban of this thing to stop the citizens of Nigeria in order not to speak out, in order not to say what they have in mind. In furtherance to this, they have a selective enforcement. This Nigerian federal government and also the former federal government was banning Twitter based on a marginalized community, because they know that if they allow Twitter to go on, that that is who they are trying to stop in saying what is in their mind, and they are trying to make them down, destabilizing their voice to speak. In conclusion, I urge you all to stand solidarity and refuse this motion, and stand with Nigeria, with the people, for a better government, rather than the government that wants to destabilize and descend our voices. Because it was said that free speeches are meant for everyone. Thank you.
Here.
Charles Supergun, who stated, and I quote, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Our stand still remains that since the Twitter was banned, because of the fake news passed by the citizens, which will bring about trouble in Nigeria, therefore, the ex-president of Nigeria profiled a better solution by banning the Twitter. As the second speaker on my team, I'll be speaking on the economic effect as assigned to me by the lead speaker of my team. I'll be rebutting the fallacious statements made by the team opposition, reaffirm our own point, and make further substantive arguments if time permits. Panel of adjudicators, members of this house. The best indicator used to know that a team has lost a debate is when they choose to drop the entire argument raised at the first, emphasize on the second, yet no response. Ladies and gentlemen, let me rebut. It is possible for me to proceed, but that will not make me happy if I do not rebut the fallacies made by the team opposition. I heard the lead speaker from the team opposition made mention of the Twitter that was banned by the ex-president of Nigeria, bringing about disencouraging, not freedom of speech in Nigeria. Panel of adjudicators, members of this house. Let me bring it to your understanding that any speech that will bring Nigeria into problem is valueless. Since it will bring problem, it creates more bad rather than good in this country. Panel of adjudicators, members of this house. Let me also bring it to your understanding that any debater that cannot raise his or her voice to ask a point of information is not really a debater, because a debater has a nice voice when it comes to point of information on what the team opposition did on their own time. Now, let's move away from the shrinking point made by the team opposition and move to the promising team of I. Can I get your point of information back?
Yes, you say that.
Yes, you said that the speech of a Nigerian that will cause problem is not valid. So how will you know that what a Nigerian opinion, what they are about to say is invalid without allowing them to say something?
Thank you, ma'am. I'll take your point of information. Panel of adjudicators, members of this house. Let me bring it to your understanding that people going to Twitter, posting fake information on what did not happen, brings a lot of problem in this country, because they go about, tag the name of a politician, write all sorts of rubbish there, even when it is not an accurate information on what the politician did. I'm sure that with this, I'll clear your point of information, ma'am. And move to the promising point of my team. To begin with security. Panel of adjudicators, members of this house. Let me bring it to your understanding that all these fake promises, that all this fake news that people go to Twitter and post brings about insecurity in this country. You can see in the process of posting this politician tagging all sorts of rubbish, which the politician is not even aware. Talk more of, let it be an accurate information on what the politician did. You can now see that it brings about insecurity in this country. Nevertheless, when it comes to academics, panel of adjudicators, members of this house, let me bring it to your understanding that because of the available of Twitter, students no longer read their book again. The time that they're supposed to use and read their book, they are on Twitter. Panel of adjudicators, members of this house. I've been able to demonstrate it to this honorable house that the president banned this Twitter for the betterment of the citizens. I've also provided a solution that this Twitter that was banned is a nice thing to do, because it do not encourage citizens.
Can you kindly leave the stage?
I propose
Your
a
time is
community.
up.
We propose a structure. Support in new age, support in opposition. In this juncture, let the motion stand. Thank you.
Here, here. All right. Thank you, second speaker. Affirmative for the first round. Without further ado, check the other mic. Put it off. It's off. What's happening? Can you put off the other mic? Let's make welcome
That wasn't in our interest. Banning Twitter doesn't show the interest of a Nigerian. Because we want our nation to go wide world. We want our nation to have a good image. And he went and banned Twitter instead of banning corruption. And corruption is one of the pillars that stand the challenges we are in today. So now, allow me to take you deeper in unemployment. Furthermore, unemployment. Instead of Nigerian former President Buhari addressing unemployment, he went and banned a male Twitter. What will Twitter do for our benefit? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because our interest is to show that our country is a good nation. To represent our country as a graduate, we have to have a certificate and be employed, not unemployed. Many people are starving today because the former president refused to address unemployment. And this makes us to face so many challenges today. So allow me to take you to educational life. So many students, so many children, as it is written on the wall over there, almost 2 million children are out of school. That is 10% of Nigerians out of school. Instead of Buhari addressing education, taking care of those children out of school, he went ahead on banning a male Twitter. What will Twitter do for our benefit? Do you know that these children can emerge and represent this nation, Nigeria? That is our interest. We want this Nigeria to be known wide world. We want to stand as the tiger of Africa. We want to be known very well as the giant of Africa. But how come he come and banned a male Twitter that doesn't even represent the interests of us? You talk about misinformation, that this tomato that a woman said tomato, that is not in our interest. Our interest is so that our nation name will stand as a whole. In the whole world, we are known as a corrupt country. Instead of Buhari addressing this corruption, banning it, he still keep it on, leaving us to be in those darkness. So in conclusion, I hereby tell you today that I stand before you to tell you that wasn't enough.
Here. Everybody, come on, here. Thank you very much. Precious Hayogu, second speaker, opposition. All right. Let's make welcome first speaker proposition for their team summary. Here. You have 1 minute.
Panel of adjudicators, members of this house, I greet you once again. As the lead speaker of my team, I am back to reboot the fallacious statement made by the team opposition and also reaffirm our point. But before then, panel of adjudicators, let me bring it to your notification that the team opposition has chosen not to reboot any of our points, showing that they agree to what we are saying. Also, let me bring it to your notification that they do not add stance to their argument, and any argument without stance is baseless and considered shrinking. However, my team, the base argument of them is focusing on the Igbos relying on Twitter for feeding themselves, and without it that they are going to starve to death. However, we've been able to debunk this misleading argument with our own substantive argument by telling you that in Twitter, someone can just sleep and wake up one day saying all sorts of rubbish against a politician. That is fake news, without even providing a solution. Also, we speak on insecurity, that this Twitter of a thing is causing so much insecurity. Also, we've talked about.
The time is up, sir. Thank you for.
Panel of adjudicators, supporting proposition. We propose a structure. We propose a community. Thanks.
As my co-speaker said, that truth is bitter, but it must be told. I, however, had my opponent saying that people are using social media like Twitter to make misinformations and all those things. Why didn't the former government, ban other social media platforms? Or is it only Twitter that they are using to make these misinformations? That is to tell you that the government have not really told us the reason why they banned Twitter for that reason. It was just for their survival. It was for the government survival rather for our interest. Now, coming to talk about this thing, I am here to summarize my point with economic stability. Did you know that this banning of the Twitter destabilized the economic? It didn't stabilize it. That is why many people whose survival was based on this Twitter was totally demoralized because they didn't have any place to be called like a business place again.
Time is up. Thank you, first.
And I hope my point have completely showed that this ban is not for the interest of Nigeria. Thank you.
Here. Thank you. First speaker, opposition. Commending them for opening the hot stage. Please, can we give them a round of applause? Yes, they opened the hot stage, and I can imagine what it has been for them. So kudos, guys. You've done so well for yourselves. All right. Now, here is our justification. First speaker, affirmative, began by speaking to us about the government trying to avoid certain persons misleading the populace. He spoke on misinformation. He spoke on character assassination. That people use fake news to assassinate the character of politicians. Their emphasis were on politicians. All right, so we didn't find them making a case for the Nigerian people. Most of their emphasis were on politicians. Are we together? Okay, so most of the emphasis was on politicians. It's a strong case, though. It's a case. All right. The first speaker, opposition, showed up. Okay, by the way, importantly, there was no engagement from the first speaker, affirmative or proposition. First speaker, opposition, began her speech by, of course, I'm avoiding the quotes they used to start their speech. Are we together? So I'm going straight into the point. She spoke on freedom of speech, infringement of freedom of speech. That the Buhari administration infringed on the rights of the citizens to freedom of speech. Right? Secondly, she went on to speak on the government's lack of transparency, which she made an assertion that we were expecting the opposition to take advantage of. No real reason for the ban on Twitter. The government actually gave a reason. All right? So, but the opposition did not pick that up at all. So, the point stands. Now, number 3, first speaker, opposition, spoke on tactical censorship. She's called it selective enforcement, which the second speaker came up to reinforce. They said, is Twitter the only platform, only social media, while ban Twitter particularly? What about other platforms? All right? So that's what the first speaker spoke about. She mentioned it, but the second speaker came to explain the point. So to build that point, we felt that was a very strong point. The fourth thing she spoke about was on the government targeting a certain demographic, a marginalized demographic, and she mentioned the Igbos. We didn't feel it was a strong argument at all from their part. However, because there was a demographic being targeted, but it wasn't the Igbos. All right? So it was the youth demographic that the government were trying to suppress. Okay? So that argument was not really strong, but the second speaker opposition tried to hint on it, but they didn't take it out, and we left it standing there. Second speaker, affirmative, was on the scene and on the stage rather, and she spoke about fake news misleading the people, leading to confusion and violence. She spoke on insecurity. All right, we think that the insecurity she spoke about was still a part of the whole fake news thing, leading to confusion and violence among the populace. Of course, the first speaker came up in summary to emphasize, hello, can we have one room? He came up to emphasize on the fact that there is insecurity in the country because the masses or certain persons are spreading false information using Twitter platform. Now, the second speaker, most of her speech was dwelt on rebuttals. She didn't consolidate the case for their team, and most of her speech was on rebuttals. And her major rebuttal was this. She said freedom of speech was not infringed on by the Buhari administration. She didn't explain to us because the opposition claimed, okay, the government has infringed on the right of the masses to use their platforms to say their minds. Okay? And the second speaker, opposition, showed up and said they did not infringe on anybody's freedom of speech. We were waiting for explanation on how that happened. Notice something here. I told you that the first speaker spoke on certain things. The second speaker came to consolidate it. So a speaker can say something and not explain it. We don't count it for you until your second comes. So if your second doesn't come to consolidate on that point, it stands, hanging or soft like that. The second speaker, opposition, showed up, and she more like defined their case better than the first speaker. She defined it in the sense that their case is this: the government had other things to prioritize, not banning Twitter. And she told us, number one, economic stability. The country's economy was in shambles, and the president's priority was Twitter. Number two, she told us good international image of the nation. That's national image. The Nigerian state was having a bad international image. The government did not prioritize that. They were prioritizing banning Twitter. The third thing she talked about was corruption. Although she didn't explain that. All right, but she mentioned it, that the Buhari administration should have fought corruption and not fighting Twitter. They had more things to fight and not Twitter. Then she mentioned unemployment. The government should have prioritized creating jobs for the masses, okay, rather than going to fight who is saying what against which politician. And lastly, she spoke on education, Nigerian states being backward educationally. And she mentioned a statistics that the country currently has over 200 million children out of school and the government didn't prioritize that, but went ahead to fight those who are peddling gossips on Twitter. Okay, on the team summary, team summaries, the first speaker, opposition, came to consolidate their point on character assassination on politicians and misleading information. All right, emphasis on politicians. The first speaker, opposition, left us with two summaries. Number one, she said she consolidated the point on selective enforcement. Why Twitter? Why Twitter? Why not Facebook? Why not Instagram? Why not other platforms? Why Twitter? All right, it means the government had misplaced priority or had something else in mind. And secondly, she reinforced their case on economic stability. All right, so these were the points from the two sides in the round. All right, the total team score, okay, the total score for the first speaker affirmative is 60. Total team score for here. The total team score for the total point score for second speaker affirmative is 50. Here. Total score for first speaker opposition is 65. Here. Total score for second speaker opposition is 80. Here. All right. Team average for affirmative is 55 and team average for opposition is 72.5. With this, ladies and gentlemen, the winner for round one is Abakaliki local government opposition. Here. And the best speaker for the round is second speaker opposition Ayogo Precious. Here. All right, you may leave the stage. Let's appreciate them. Here.